يا حلوين. Welcome to English Fun Club. أنا مس وفاء ودي قناتي. مكملين مع بعض سلسلة الفونكس إن شاء الله. الحصتين اللي فاتوا أخدنا حرف الأس وعرفنا إن هو بيتنطق س، وأخدنا حرف الإيه وعرفنا إن هو بيتنطق أ. النهاردة بقى ميعادنا مع حرف التي. يلا بينا.
When I watch a tennis game, when I watch a tennis game, my head goes back and forth. When I watch a tennis game, when I watch a tennis game, my head goes back and forth.
Let's practice some sounds, and usually we practice all the sounds that we learned so far. Ah, ah, like apple. Do you still remember the letter? Ah, ah. Ah. Kit and Sam had been playing with their favorite toys all morning. Ted looks tired and thirsty, said Kit. Let's get the tea set and have a toy tea party. Kit made the toys some tea in a spotty teapot. Sam stirred her tea with her teaspoon. Ting, ting, ting went the teaspoon around the teacup. T, t, t. So this is letter T, and we pronounce it as t, t, t. Pretend like you are stirring a teacup with a teaspoon and say t, 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 t. Well done. How to write it? Down the teaspoon and under the teacup, then across the top. Let's see it together. Down the teaspoon, under the teacup, then across the top. One more time. Down the teaspoon, under the teacup, then across the top. Come on. Grab a paper and a pencil and try to write it down at least 5 times to practice. I'm going to give you some time. Down the teaspoon, under the teacup, then across the top. Again. Down the teaspoon, under the teacup, then across the top. Again. Down the teaspoon, under the teacup, then across the top. Watch it before you write it down, and then practice writing it down 5 times, at least 5 times. Are you ready now? Good job if you did it. To write down the capital letter, just like a capital I, this letter is straight and tall with just one line going down and another across the top, flat like a wall. This is an easy one. Have a watch. Again, straight down and one line across the top. This is all what you have to do. I'm going to give you the time now to practice down 5 times. Go. This is the first one. Second done. Third. fourth. One last go. Amazing. Well done. Tiptoe tea. Tiptoe around each other like tea being stirred in a teacup. When you see a letter, stop, say the sound, and do the action. Go. Stir. It's like a snake. Ah, ah, like you're biting an apple. T, t, like you are stirring the tea in the cup. Ah, ah. T, t, t. Ah. T, t, t. Good job. If you knew them all, well done. It means that you are practicing hard. I think the toys would like something to eat too, said Sam. Let's see what we can find for them, said Kit. Tea party. Kit and Sam have chosen some food for the toys tea party, but Robot Rick doesn't know what any of it is. Can you robot talk the food to tell them? Yalla, guess what is the first item on the list? What do you think this could be? J a J a Well done if you said jam. It's jam. Our second item is. Do you think this is water? No, it's not water. Of course, it's not water. It's a yellow drink, and it could be a mango juice. Mango juice. Juice. Well done. Oh, I think you all know what is this. Cake. K A K K A K cake. Well done. Ooh, this is one of my favorite fruits. Pears. 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 Ooh, this looks so yummy. Tart. It's called tart. T R T tart. T R T tart. Cheese. Ch E S cheese. Cheese. Oh, that was a great tea party, Kit. We hope you enjoyed it as much as us, toys. Laughed Sam. So today we've learned letter T that sounds as a t, t, t. Okay, let's revise them from the beginning. What do you think this sound is? Well done if you said s. What about this one? Ah, ah, ah. Do you remember what's this one? Great job. T, t, t. Letter T that sounds as a t, 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 t. Good job, all.
وبكده نبقى وصلنا لآخر الفيديو. وزي ما عودتكم هسيب لكم ورك شيتس تحت الفيديو علشان تتدربوا. اوعوا تنسوا. اشوفكم في حلقة جديدة. باي.